Hi everyone, my name is Yahan Yo, and this is my capstone project in Landscape Architecture program. So this project is about using landscape interventions to mitigate the nutrient pollution problem in the White River in Indiana. Here I introduced my project statement and some history along the White River and its significance in the state of Indiana. So I highlighted some historical events that might contribute to the water quality issues in the White River. And the goal of this project is to provide a toolkit of landscape interventions targeting on the agricultural, suburban, and urban contexts along the White River to mitigate the nutrient pollution problem. So the nutrient pollution problem is one of the most critical and prevalent problems in the United States waterways, especially in the Gulf of Mexico, where a dead zone has occurred due to the nutrient flux from the Mississippi River. And the primary sources um, of the nutrient pollution in the Mississippi River Basin originates from the agricultural farmlands in the Midwest, where Indiana contributes about 10% and 8.4% of the total nitrogen and phosphorus flux to the Gulf of Mexico. This slide presents my project methods and the project development throughout the whole process. We used a combination of literature review, interviews, precedent studies, and design development to investigate the causes, problems, and potential landscape solutions for addressing nutrient pollutions in the White River, and to apply those methods into specific landscape typologies along the White River. The site analysis mainly focus on identifying potential nutrient pollution sources along the White River, including CSO outlet, confined feeding operations, and water treatment facilities, and finding those patterns from the data by layering each layers in GIS. And the data analysis centers on examining the nutrient data from 2020 White River Basin project conducted by the item and using criteria provided by the White River Alliance. By analyzing the nitrogen and phosphorus data in the White River, we selected 10 water testing locations with high nutrient values or with site conditions that may affect their nutrient values to conduct a further site analysis, especially to study their sections and landscape typologies to understand the relationship between the landscape context and the nutrient pollution levels. This precedent board shows the ways that the nitrogen and phosphorus can be removed from the water, and the landscape intervention studies focused on the existing landscape strategies to mitigate nutrient pollutions. And the plant study showcased common plants suitable for Indiana wetlands as a potential pollution treatment measure. With all the studies, research, and interviews we have conducted in the previous slides, we outline 3 goals and each with 3 corresponding objectives to focus on in this project. And 16 landscape interventions are proposed to address these problems and objectives, with some intervention applicable to multiple objectives. On this slide, we identify 4 landscape contexts along the White River and utilizes a combination of design interventions for each context. They are agricultural lands, suburb public lands, suburb residential lands, and urban areas. A detailed site design was developed to implement agricultural context design interventions. For this site specifically, we utilized a combination of constructed wetlands and buffer planting strategies to mitigate the nutrient problem that might be resulted from the agricultural runoff from the surrounding farmlands. These slides showcase some design details of the proposed design conditions. So, a main wetlands and a multi-stage wetlands are created within the proposed scope to treat wastewater from adjacent agricultural lands, attract wildlife, increasing biodiversity, and removing excess nutrients from the agricultural runoff. The renderings presents 2 seasons of the main constructed wetlands. The first one is the peak season overview, and the second one is the wetland harvest event. The wetland harvest event can be a very good opportunity to raise public awareness about nutrient pollution and demonstrate how landscape treatment can effectively mitigate these issues. The the wetland harvest event can be used to remove excess nutrients stored in the plants and to ensure the efficiency of the wetland. And this will create an excellent community activity and education opportunity where local residents and students are encouraged to participate. The second detailed design focused on applying design interventions to suburban context. This one focused on using constructed floating islands and riparian planting strategies when proposed expansions and connections to existing parks across the river. The expanded water or riverbank will effectively retain the water on site for a longer time and treat the water with the plants before it got discharged into the next stage. And the expansions of the park will provide a more enhanced pedestrian experience and education opportunities for the communities and local residents to realize the problems and how landscape can serve as a method to mitigate the nutrient problems in the White River. This slide showcases the detailed design of the suburban context application. The section illustrates the both existing and proposed riverbanks, and 3 axon drawings shows the main design changes and attractions on site, enhancing human experiences and providing educational opportunities. The first rendering showcased the proposed boardwalks and pedestrian access to the river, and the second rendering showcased the floating islands and how the water can be treated through the floating islands and the plants proposed in the White River, and how the floating islands can attract more wildlife and increase biodiversity along the White River. Students and communities can also be involved in the water sample collection and wildlife research, and the proposed pedestrian bridge can serve as a connection across the bridge for local visitors. So that's all about my capstone project with the White River, and thank you all for listening.